Gino, on the podcast yesterday, actually, Matt and I, we played a little game where Mark had 21 different stocks.
Oh my God.
And we had to draft them like we were two coaches picking our ball teams.
Okay.
One at a time, one at a time, one at a time. And episode 415 is up on site. I will drop that link in the chat here shortly as well. And we wanted Coach Emily to kind of play the judge and jury here today. And we're going to have you come and be the helper to her queen, right? You will be the aide to her queen.
As always, team tackle judges team tackle is the best judges.
And team tackle, we want to hear what you guys have to say out there.
Except as well. When they say Tim's portfolio was better than mine. That is a bad response.
The Lions
I kid.
Vote with your conscience.
I kid.
Vote based on the data. Do not be influenced.
Listen, is there a way I can limit the vote count? No, I kid. Now, basically, guys, what we did was, Mark found a couple stocks per sector in the market. We had some utility plays, consumer staples, food-based companies, every sector, tech, comms, you name it. Mm-hmm. And we did a little bit of a draft. Tim had 10 picks. Tim went first. We snake draft. And basically, Tim, kind of talk about kind of what your portfolio and what you were trying to build, and then I'll do the same, and then we'll go through the picks.
The very first thing I was thinking about, because the premise here was not short-term trading. It wasn't about the charts or the setups or the
and it wasn't the next year long-term.
This was an investment portfolio. An investment portfolio. So I wanted to have some safety. I wanted to have some dividends. I wanted to have some of the top end of the cream of the crop out of tech and some of the leaders in the market in different space. But I also wanted to have diversity. I think one of the mistakes people have been making over the last couple of years, and we've seen this with the recent moves in energy and industrials and all those kind of stuff. And even Wall Street has done it as well. They were underrepresented in certain industries. And so they failed to take advantage of the uptick in some of these strengthening sectors that we've seen since the economy. Your opening theme has been happening since the election, right? Energy, industrials, financial. So I wanted to make sure I had some good picks in there as well. Splash in a little bit of growth, but I went for the big names. Matt, how did you decide what you wanted to pick?
Tim, obviously, whenever you're doing this type of thing, you're looking at the list that Mark provides, right? Because he's the one who picked the two stocks. Obviously, I think for me, everything starts with, okay, what's that foundation? I tackle portfolios like you're building a house, right? Mm-hmm. You gotta lay the foundation. You got to build a plan. You have your blueprint. You build your plan, then you lay your foundation and you execute your plan. And so I think when you're laying that foundation, for me, you got to have a foundational stock that you believe in. That you will not come off of regard, like you just believe in that, right? And so for me, there was only really kind of two stocks on the board that kind of met that criteria that Mark selected. That was Apple and Microsoft. And I pretty much knew you were going to take Microsoft one, and so I was going to take Apple two. But like Microsoft would have been my pick as well. I would take Microsoft over Apple right now. I would. Last year I would. There's only a couple times I wouldn't take Microsoft over Apple, but Microsoft, I think, is the 1A play out of that group. And so you build your foundation, and then I think it's a matter of the subjective nature comes into it, Tim. You went with the Verizon pick, and we'll get into there in a second. But I kind of wanted to go innovation, quite frankly. And the reason is very simple. I knew I could get value deeper in the draft. And I wanted to get innovation companies at the top end of the draft, because if I could corner innovation, not having innovation stocks in 2021 is like not having steam engine stocks in 1760. Like what are we doing here, guys? You're starting an evolution from a market cycle perspective that we're all going to look back in 100 years saying, oh man, technology changed. Like you got to have innovation in portfolio. And so I wanted to go innovation, and there's not a company better than Tesla that fits the innovation argument. It represents literally the entire innovation type movement out there. And so I wanted innovation, and then I got my I got the foundational pick in round one. I got my innovation pick in round two, and then I just tried to, honestly round out the best portfolio is what I tried to do. And so and that was kind of my intention. We have a lot of good games. Like we have a lot of games on the pod, but what I like about those games is really kind of the thought process that you go through when you're making that pick and the discussion of how that fits that portfolio. So with that said, definitely check out the pod later on. Here is the portfolios. Now, Mark, you're the one who set this game up. You're the one who found these stocks. Was there did you just pick 2 names you picked from the sectors? How'd you go about picking the stocks?
And I broke them because they're all S&P 500 stocks, and obviously had 500. I thought I would pick a section that represented a good cross section of really good companies that had a lot of diversity when you looked at them as a collective whole. And so I think put together a pretty good list for you guys to choose from. A lot of recognizable names.
Survivors or innovators?
So, well, I mean, it's just more of like things that you actually would want to own.
Okay.
For 20, 30, 40 years, right? Forever.
Okay. Survivors. Yeah.
Long term. So here's the other caveat of the rule. We couldn't go off the list. So there were 21 companies. We picked from that list of companies, and these are all classy blue chip top end names in their industry sector. And we started picking. I did pick Microsoft 1A. Yeah. And I think the first discussion that anybody would have had is, do you prefer Microsoft over Apple, right? I went with Microsoft for several different reasons. I was really debating it. I didn't feel like I could make a wrong choice there. Matt, you used the word foundation. That is that foundational play that you always want to start a portfolio with. So I went with Microsoft. Well, Matt went with Apple.
And quite frankly, like I said, I think all of us, well, not all of us, but you and me would have went with Microsoft. I don't get me wrong, I love Apple, but Apple is very consumer driven. Microsoft, not necessarily as much. It does a lot. It does more on the corporate side than say Apple does. But again, you're talking about the best consumer product versus the best overall product. It's like, okay, do you want the best home run hitter or do you want the best utility player? And who do you like? Who's better, Barry Bonds or Pete Rose?
Sure.
Yes, I just picked 2 people that are highly controversial in baseball.
But also
that's a bad analogy. And
how about let's throw Roger Clemens and
Mark McGwire
and shoeless Joe Jackson in there too.
Yeah, Sammy Sosa and shoeless Joe Jackson. Oh my goodness, Ty Cobb. How about Ty Cobb and shoeless Joe Jackson? Let's try that one. So Tim, you went with Microsoft. You wrapped it around with the safety dividend play with Verizon. You stole, and I mean that, stole Disney from me, and I'm still upset about it.
Dude.
Goldman Sachs obviously was back to back with you and me, Bank of America versus Goldman.
That was interesting though, because you chose first there, and I would have been happy with either of the financials, and you chose Bank of America.
I thought I had a wraparound.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I had a wraparound.
Oh,
I thought I had Walmart, Disney back to back. You know how we switched up the snake draft to the first round and we made a mistake? I thought I had the wraparound. I was going to go Walmart, Disney. But no, I went Walmart, and then I made the mistake that thought I had the wraparound. I didn't. You went Disney. I love that Disney pick. I think you got real good value. I don't know what you're doing drafting Verizon in the second round.
That's the big critique, by the way, so far. Matt does not like my Verizon second.
I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I thought Verizon would have went there with Pfizer, quite frankly. I did not like it. I love the Disney pick, though, in the third round. I love that Disney pick. Goldman versus Bank of America, it's just a matter, do you want more growth or do you want more covered calls, right? I wanted more covered calls there. I think Bank of America is one of the better covered call, stocks out there in the market. I got Newmont in the 7th. You took FCX in the 5th. I think those are, I wouldn't say they're 6s because I think most people would say FCX is slightly better than Newmont, but I think you just want a commodity in your portfolio, and you took FCX first. I knew once you took FCX, I knew I could wait a little bit. I wanted to get my industrial pick fairly quickly. That was Caterpillar. You waited with Union Pacific. You got your energy play CVX. I got Valero. But honestly, Tim, I like them both, Valero and CVX. But I do like Valero more over the next 10 years than I do CVX, 100%. And I think you do too. And here's why. CVX is tied to oil far more than Valero is. And neither one of us have an upward projection on the price of oil from a decade of the 2000s to the 2020s. And so I do think Valero is a better play than CVX over the next 10 decades, but that's subjective. I took the REIT. There was only one REIT on the board. It was an industrial REIT in PLD. I took that. You took Johnson & Johnson. I wrapped up with Pfizer. Tim wraps it up with his industrial play in Union Pacific. Tim, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I would say you went more Warren Buffett style.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's more conservative here.
Yeah, I got my value with Pfizer. I got my energy play in Valero. I got my industrial plays for the infrastructure and all that jazz. But I truly did want innovation. I think it's a mistake to not have innovation over the next decade.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And there's only two companies there that you would consider disruptive innovation, and that's Tesla and Netflix.
And you got them both. You definitely got the innovation side of it. There's no question. Mine's more of that conservative side of it. And you had a blend. You had a blended portfolio. You've got a lot.
What were you looking at? Were you looking? What was your thesis or your primary indicator?
I think I threw a wrench into the entire thing when I picked Tesla too, and Tim wasn't ready for that.
Yeah, Tesla was going to be one I wanted to target and get.
Tim thought he could get Tesla 4
when
or
I
5.
didn't get Tesla, I had to snake Disney from him. So at least I got that one out of his.
That was a revenge pick.
Pried it out of his hands. I love Goldman Sachs. I believe out of the two financials, I prefer Goldman there.
You got your pick there. I picked Bank of America first, but I was not picking Goldman.
What made you pick it? What was your thesis?
Because he likes the devil.
Because Goldman Sachs is the trading firm, and I believe market volatility is here forever. You know, in terms of just short bursts and all that kind of stuff, we know these trading firms can make money in volatile markets.
Are you using one particular indicator or one particular reason, or is it just
on Goldman or on the whole portfolio?
On everything? Like, do you look at a fundamental? Do you look at just what you know in the past? Are you looking at?
Oh, Gino, I know all these companies. Yeah, 100%. So, I mean, we're not talking about companies that we don't track or trade like every single day. So really what
honestly, you know what impresses me about this whole thing is both of these portfolios blow away anything my money manager I used to have.
Oh, no. Listen,
both of them, honestly. I mean,
it's not hard to create an index, guys. That's all a portfolio is the creation of your personal index. Like, I think you guys are better than the S&P is at putting an index together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We got a lot of opinions coming to the chat. We'll get team tackles here in a minute, though. But I do.
Again, I like both. And yours is a Warren Buffett value-based portfolio. I mean, the Verizon, you solidified that when you picked Verizon number 2.
Yeah, right.
Right. And I solidified the growth side of mine when I picked Tesla number 2. So it really is how you see the next 10 years. I think you need innovation over the next 10 years. But I think Buffett did perfectly fine without innovation and disruptive technology over the last 20 years.
Well,
it's just a matter of how you want to go about it.
I'm looking at Tim's as a good dividend covered call portfolio and slight growth. And I'm looking at yours, Matt, as a good trading portfolio and a small dividend. But yeah, I mean, they're solid. They're solid, right? I mean, if you can make an ETF out of both these, I'd be in.
So you got to pick, Emily. Based on what you're looking at.
I got to pick one?
Based on what you're seeing.
Okay, let me make it simple for everybody. Would you pick the Tackle 25 or would you pick Dividend Fireworks?
Don't try to frame their thing.
Okay, let Emily go
first. I'm not. Hold on. Wait a second. I'm not framing anything. But am I not right? Didn't Gino just say you're more of the value dividend paid? That's Dividend Fireworks, bro.
And didn't point.
Oh, thank you. Then it's not framing.
What would have been a better game was if you didn't put the names on who picked what and us have to guess who picked which portfolio.
Y'all would have had it wrong, by the way.
Exactly. Knowing Matt's personality and knowing Tim's personality, I would have thought Tim would have had Matt's list and Matt would have had Tim's list. So
that's I should have done that, Em, because I thought the same thing. But no.
I want to see Mark's.
It's amazing how you assume about people, right? Those assumptions you make about people.
Because you're very fundamentally driven. So I really would have thought that, everything on Tim's list would have been you and Tim vice versa. So
Matt's is based off the Fibonacci here and all these.
I'm not certain Fibonacci played a role in my analysis yesterday.
I don't think it did.
It could have. We were in a podcast. I was certainly visualizing some Fibonacci's on trends, but
GameStop in there. Nobody had GameStop in there.
hey, I don't know. Gino asking me if I used Fibonacci in my podcast analysis, or my mother waving to us through a podcast. I don't know which one is like that was funny last night. Yeah, our mom did stop by the podcast yesterday, by the way.
Emily, are you having some anxiety picking?
I am. I am.
Okay. Is there questions here?
God.
No, there are no questions. They're both great lists. And I mean, I guess it's just really depending on the individual and how you see the next, 5-10 years panning out,
Emily, if you don't pick Matt, we're gonna have to listen to him filibuster another hour. So
this is true. Yes.
Tim was my mentor, so he knows what's the
Tim is by far the worst filibuster of all of us.
The one that has Netflix is already a winner for me. So I have to go with Matt's portfolio.
Yeah.
I mean, you got
the queen. She chooses right.
Listen, it has Bank of America and Netflix. Of course,
she's not going against Bank of America. She's not going against Bank of America. If you said a bad word about Bank of America, Emily would fly out just to give you a tongue lashing.
Gino, if you had to pick one.
Here's the honest truth, because I've traded pretty much all these on a regular basis, because you got some big names here that are easy to trade, optionable, shortable, very liquid stocks. I've done option trades on pretty much all these at least once or 100 times. I can't go a week without trading Microsoft. I can't go a month without trading Apple. I look down this list. As far as me for a cash flow trader, I have traded Tim's portfolio much more as a cash flow trader. But as a swing trader, guys, I love Matt's list because I take those when they set up. I really do. I go more blindly into Tim's list. They're a little bit more conservative. I don't need a perfect setup there. But
honestly, though, Gino,
setup on Tesla. I need a good setup on Netflix.
That's fine. But honestly, I would not have picked Tesla too if this was 2 months ago with Tesla at $900.
I know.
Tesla's had a massive correction, and that absolutely played a role in my thinking that you can get a company that's a massively high flyer at a steep discount in price. And I'm sorry, I still think it can go down lower, but I had to make a decision yesterday over the next 10, 20 years. And I fundamentally think it is a mistake not to have innovation companies in your portfolio.
Oh, absolutely.
And when you only have two, Netflix versus Tesla, I'm sorry, I think Tim's portfolio is too conservative.
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting thought. And I did want to ask you a question, Matt. You know how like at Christmas, you play that game where you get the gift and somebody can steal the gift, the little white elephant thing. If you could steal one stock off my list of 10.
Oh, I love this game.
If you could take one stock and you're like, okay, I didn't get it. I need it. I got to put it, make my number 11.
We know which one that is.
You don't lose one. You don't lose one. You just add one.
Oh.
Well, okay. If I can take any, I'm taking Microsoft.
Can't take Microsoft.
Amazon's not on there?
Throw that wrench in there.
Yeah, you can't take your first pick.
Okay.
All right.
It would be Disney.
Not Verizon.
Tim, here's the thing. You could have got Verizon with the 21st pick. I wasn't picking it. There's not a chance in the world. I can get a 4.5% dividend in any company that wants to go stagnant for the next 10 years. I'm fine with that.
So you would take Disney. You would add.
Yeah, I would take Disney.
I would take Tesla.
Yeah,
because I believe in portfolio design. You do want to have that.
But Tim, shot. I would not trade you my Tesla for your Disney because of the importance of Tesla's innovation to this portfolio design.
I could probably get a Netflix. Now we're not starting.
You could trade a Netflix.
Yeah, I could. Okay. Get a Netflix
this is how fantasy football trade works out. I will trade you Netflix right now for your Disney. Market cap, you're getting a bigger company. That's number one. Number two, you're also getting a company that fits a massive need. You didn't draft any wide receivers, bro. You need to get a wide receiver on your team.
I feel like I'm in the audience of deal or no deal. Bad deal. Don't do it.
No deal on Disney. No deal on Disney.
You know,
I'm keeping Disney.
I think you guys should have a dozen stocks on there. And then,
I'm sorry. I think you do not beat the S&P then if you maintain this portfolio.
I want that Tesla. I want that
Exactly.
Tesla for Disney.
You're not getting Tesla. If you're going to get a Tesla, you got to throw a Disney plus. You got to sprinkle a little bit of. Give me some FCX, bro.
You still got the upside in Netflix, but then you get your Disney pick. I mean,
Yeah,
I think
Tesla represents the entire movement.
Here's what Team Tackle's saying. Swin, at first cursory glance, I vote for Tim. Issachar, I'd take Tim's list as well. James, I'd go with Matt's without Bank of America. He thinks Verizon is also trash. So there you go.
I don't understand what you guys are looking at. He picked Verizon instead of Tesla.
Yeah.
He has zero innovation in his portfolio in a world that is all innovation.
Here's another one.
Every company is trying to achieve.
Come on,
and there's none of it.
Here's another one. Tesla alone will outperform all of Tim's list.
I agree with that, except Microsoft and FCX.
Okay,
Jonathan,
so Matt, I got a question.
Hold on, Jim. Let me get a couple more of these out. On a boring cover call portfolio, I go with Tim. That's from Jonathan.
I agree with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Dividend, right cover calls, not worry about things.
Tim's list is great if you're 80 years old.
Hey, it'll stand the test of time, right? You'll make it.
Oh, dude, we said Buffett. Maybe he went Charlie Munger. Maybe Tim went Charlie Munger.
Okay, so I got a perfect way to solve this.
All right. So what do we got? What do we got?
I got a perfect way. Perfect way.
Split?
Matt,
all right, Gino. Gino hasn't picked yet.
I say, Matt, if you were to fix Tim's portfolio and you could only give him 2 stocks, which 2 would you give him to add to his and make an even dozen?
He needs innovation.
So
he
Tesla
made a mistake picking Verizon. It was a massive mistake.
So
why in the world would you pick Verizon when you can throw a dart at the market and find a Verizon and not pick innovation? I'm sorry. It values everywhere. You can find dividend anywhere. He's getting great dividends out of CVX. He's getting it out of Johnson & Johnson, UNP. He's getting it out of Microsoft. He's getting it out of Disney. He didn't need that at number 2, which means he needs innovation. And so if I'm making a change, I'm kicking his second pick, not his 10th pick. I'm kicking Verizon completely out of his portfolio, and I'm adding any innovation. And probably, I mean, honestly, I'd probably just find an innovation ETF. But honestly,
Tesla or Netflix or
ARK, like just go with the ARK fund, right?
I think,
but he needs
Tim,
innovation.
if you had Amazon in there, you'd be fine.
That's disruptive innovation is a thing, guys.
Yeah,
it is. It is a massive movement, and there is none of that here. And so I would say he needs more of that.
If you gave him 2, it doesn't have to be from this list. If you just added 2.
Okay.
I'm getting some trash talk over here. Craig Delk says Tim's list seems like a deflated football. # no inflation. Oh, touche, Craig.
Hey, that deflated football won the Super Bowl.
Hey, Tom Brady. No Tom Brady jokes today. Actually, Tom Brady jokes every day. I just think you need innovation here. And so I would say remove Verizon. And honestly, I don't know. I'm looking at it and I'm saying it's a pretty, like Disney and Microsoft is a really good foundation, like a really, really good foundation. FCX, I mean, you'll have a lot of opinions between FCX having the copper kicker versus those gold stocks like Barrick and Newmont Mining. I personally prefer the gold kicker over the next 10 years, but I'm not going to argue with somebody that prefers the copper kicker over the next 10 years.
Wow.
So I do think those are split. I'm not sold on Starbucks over the next 10 years, quite frankly, but I don't know. You only got one energy play. I honestly, I just think I don't think there was 2 mistakes in this portfolio. Honestly, I think it was just Verizon.
Breaking news: Disney Plus has more than 100 million global subscribers.
Dude, the war is Disney versus Amazon, and we don't know who the winner is.
I know. I wanted Amazon. I would pick Amazon too.
But I would say Tim's portfolio is a really, really, really good portfolio. If you remove either a Johnson & Johnson, a Verizon, one of those two components, and you add one of the innovations, right? And so we didn't have like semiconductors to pick from. Obviously,
no.
we both need a semiconductor here.
There's a lot we can add, but I mean,
yeah, but out of mine, I would say, you know, a Netflix or a Tesla fixes that whole Tim's missing pretty good.